Welcome back to Prime Wealth. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
So have you ever thought about starting a business that doesn't take up all your time?
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want a little extra income without the daily grind?
Right. Today, we're diving into the world of vending machines. You know, it's one of those low-effort setups that can bring in some nice passive income if you do it right.
Exactly. It's surprising how many people overlook this option.
We'll explore how to get started, what to consider when choosing your machines, and how to find the best locations.
Plus, we'll discuss some common pitfalls to avoid to make sure you're set up for success.
And I know a lot of listeners might be wondering about the initial investment and ongoing maintenance.
We'll definitely cover that too.
So whether you're looking to supplement your income or you just want to find a side hustle that works around your life, this episode is for you.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you can make vending machines work for you.
You know, Alex, when we talk about something like a vending machine business, it might sound a bit niche or even a little old school for some people, but the reality is it hits on some really crucial financial themes, especially for those of us over 40.
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, for many in that age group, there's a growing urgency to think about retirement plans and how to create additional income streams. And with inflation being what it is, it's more important than ever to find ways to supplement our income.
Right, and the idea of a vending machine business is appealing because it's relatively low effort once it's set up. You don't have to be there 24/7, and it can serve as a source of passive income. For someone approaching retirement, that's a pretty attractive proposition.
Exactly. Many people in their 40s and 50s are starting to think about how they can build a cushion for themselves. Maybe they're feeling the pinch from rising costs, or even just looking to diversify their investments. It can be a real game changer.
And let's not forget, the emotional aspect of financial security plays a huge role here too. People want to feel stable, knowing they can manage their expenses and have a little extra for those unexpected life events.
That emotional security is crucial. Picture this. You've worked hard, raised your kids, and now you're starting to think about what your golden years will look like. If you're worried about finances, that can really overshadow everything else.
Exactly. And a vending machine business can help ease some of that stress. It's a tangible way to see your money work for you without having to dive into something overly complicated or high risk.
Well, it's interesting because some studies suggest that as people age, they tend to lean toward more stable, less volatile investment options. In fact, many surveys show that people over 40 prefer investments that offer consistent returns rather than high-risk, high-reward scenarios.
That makes sense. With retirement timelines tightening, the last thing anyone wants to do is gamble their savings on something that might not pay off.
Right, and vending machines fit that bill. You can start small, maybe with just a couple of machines in local businesses or schools. You start generating income, and if it works out, you can scale up gradually.
And it's not just about the machines themselves, but also thinking strategically about locations. You could target gyms, office buildings, or even schools, places where people are likely to grab a snack or a drink.
Exactly, and the beauty of it is the flexibility. For someone who's potentially still working or has other commitments, this can be a side venture that doesn't require a huge time investment. You can check on the machines once a week, restock, and collect the earnings.
And let's talk about the financial aspect too. The startup cost can be relatively low compared to other businesses. You don't need to rent a space, hire staff, or manage a storefront.
Yes, and according to some estimates, a well-placed vending machine can generate anywhere from $50 to $100 a week, depending on the location and the product selection. That's not too shabby for a small investment of time and money.
That's a good point. And you mentioned inflation earlier. With prices rising, finding ways to earn extra income becomes even more essential. Every little bit helps, especially when you're trying to save for retirement or cover unexpected expenses.
Exactly. If you'd previously relied on a single income source, diversifying with something like vending machines can help protect against those financial shocks.
And let's not forget about the learning experience. Even if someone starts small, they can gain valuable insights into business operations, inventory management, and customer preferences, skills that can be transferable if they want to expand into other ventures later on.
Absolutely. It's a great way to dip your toes into entrepreneurship without diving headfirst into a massive commitment. And for those who might be hesitant about starting their own business, this can feel less intimidating.
Very true. I've heard stories of people who started with just one machine and realized they really enjoyed the process, eventually scaling up to a small fleet of machines. It can be empowering.
Yes, and it's also a way to connect with your community. Providing convenient snack options or healthy choices can actually enhance the environment of the locations where your machines are placed.
That's a great perspective. It's not just about making money. It's about contributing to the community.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for tax benefits that come with owning a small business, which is another incentive for people over 40 to consider.
So, with all these benefits in mind, it really does seem like a vending machine business could be a viable option for those looking to bolster their financial security. But it's important to have a solid strategy in place.
Yes, and that's where we can dive into some practical strategies for getting started.
Right. Let's explore how to set this up effectively so you're not just jumping in blind.
And how to assess locations, choose the right products, and manage your investments wisely. So when we talk about setting up a vending machine business, the first thing you need to think about is location, right? It's all about where you place those machines.
Absolutely. A great location can make or break your success. Think about places with heavy foot traffic, like gyms, schools, or office buildings.
Exactly. You want to target spots where people are likely to get hungry or thirsty, but also where they're willing to spend a little bit. For instance, a vending machine in a busy office can be a gold mine during break times.
Right, and it's important to scout the competition, too. If there are already several machines in an area, it might be tougher to make a profit.
Yes, and don't forget to consider the demographics of the area. Younger crowds might prefer healthier snacks, while in a corporate building, you might want to focus on coffee and quick bites.
Good point. Once you've got your location, the next step is choosing the right machines. There are a lot of options out there, but you want to balance functionality and cost.
For sure. You can find used machines that are in good condition, which can save you a lot of money. Just make sure they have a good track record. Sometimes, investing a little more in a reliable machine pays off in the long run.
And remember to consider the types of products you want to sell. Some machines can handle a variety of items, while others are more specialized.
Exactly. If you're going for drinks, you might want a machine that's designed specifically for that. And if you're leaning towards snacks, look for one that offers a good selection of space for different types.
And then there's the inventory side of things. What's your approach to stocking the machines?
Well, keeping an eye on inventory is crucial. It's good practice to check how quickly items sell, and then adjust your stock accordingly. You might find that certain snacks fly off the shelves, while others don't move at all.
Right, and that can be a trial and error process at first. You might think you know what people want, but sometimes you have to be flexible and adapt.
Exactly. And a tip here is to keep an eye on seasonal trends. For instance, during summer, cold drinks might be more popular, whereas in winter, people might lean towards hot snacks or treats.
That's smart. Also, don't forget to keep your machines clean and stocked. A clean, well-maintained machine can really attract more customers.
Definitely. And there's a psychological aspect to it, too. If a machine looks dirty or poorly stocked, people might be less inclined to buy from it.
And let's talk about pricing. How do you determine what to charge for each item?
Good question. You need to find that sweet spot where you're covering costs and making a profit, but not pricing yourself out of the market. A common rule of thumb is to mark up your items by 50 to 100% over wholesale prices.
Yeah, and you can also check local prices to see what competitors are charging. It helps you stay competitive.
Exactly. And don't forget about offering combo deals. Like, if someone buys a snack, they might be tempted to grab a drink if you offer a small discount.
That's a great idea. Now, let's talk about the logistics of actually getting the machines. How do you go about acquiring them?
You can start by contacting vending machine suppliers. Many offer rental options, which can be a lower risk way to start.
And what about buying used machines? Is that a good route to consider?
Absolutely. Buying used can save you a lot of money, but you have to be cautious. Look for machines that have been well maintained and check for warranties or return policies.
Makes sense. Now, let's discuss maintenance. How often should you be checking on your machines?
Ideally, you should check them at least once a week, especially when you're just starting. This helps ensure they're stocked, clean, and functioning properly.
And if something goes wrong,
That's where having a good relationship with a repair service can really pay off. You want to have someone reliable to call when issues arise.
right, and also having spare parts on hand can save you a lot of time and hassle.
Exactly. If you have parts for quick fixes, you can minimize downtime and keep your machines running smoothly.
Now, let's pivot a bit. What about marketing these machines? How do you let people know they're there?
Word of mouth is powerful, but you can also get creative. Consider putting up signs near the machines or even offering promotions for first-time buyers.
Social media can be an option too, right? Especially if you have multiple machines in different locations.
Absolutely. You can create a simple Instagram or Facebook page to highlight where your machines are and what you offer. Engaging with the community can build loyalty.
And what about tracking sales? Is that important?
Very important. Keeping track of what sells can guide your inventory decisions and help you spot trends. Many modern machines have built-in tracking systems, which can make this a lot easier.
That's a great feature to have. It sounds like there's a lot to balance in this business, but it seems manageable with the right approach.
It really is. Just take it step by step and stay adaptable.
And just like any business, there are common pitfalls to be aware of.
Yes, indeed. It's easy to underestimate the initial investment or the importance of location.
Not to mention the time commitment. It's not as set it and forget it as some might think.
Absolutely. You have to be proactive about maintenance and inventory.
So it seems like preparation and ongoing attention are key, huh?
Definitely. And with that in mind, let's look at some of those potential pitfalls in more detail.
So, Alex, I think it's really important to talk about some pitfalls that people run into when they're getting into the vending machine business. What do you think are the most common mistakes?
Absolutely, Jordan. One of the biggest pitfalls is underestimating the importance of location. You know, people often think they can just place a machine anywhere and it'll do well, but that's not the case.
Right, it's not like just putting a plant in a corner and hoping it thrives. Can you give an example of that?
Sure. I had a client who placed a vending machine in a small office building that had very few employees. They thought it would be a hit because it was a busy area, but it turned out that the employees preferred to bring their own snacks from home. The machine barely made any sales.
That's tough. So what should someone consider when choosing a location?
Well, foot traffic is key. Look for high-traffic areas, like schools, gyms, or hospitals, and it's important to assess the demographics of the area as well. What are people likely to buy?
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of demographics, I imagine product selection is another area where people go wrong.
Exactly. I've seen many new vendors stock their machines with items they personally like or think are popular, but they don't actually do market research. For example, one vendor filled their machine with organic snacks in a neighborhood where most people preferred traditional junk food.
Yeah, that's a classic case of not knowing your audience. How can someone avoid that mistake?
Doing some research is crucial. You can survey potential customers or even look at similar machines in the area to see what's selling well. And don't forget to adjust your offerings based on seasons or trends.
That's a good point. I imagine there are also logistical issues that can pop up, right?
Definitely. One common mistake is not having a solid plan for restocking and maintenance. Many new operators think they can just set it and forget it, but that can lead to empty machines and frustrated customers.
Oh no, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. How often should someone be checking their machines?
It really depends on the location and sales volume, but a good rule of thumb is to check them at least once a week, especially in high-traffic areas. And keeping track of what sells out quickly can help you adjust your inventory more effectively.
That sounds like it requires a bit of commitment. What about the financial side? Are there common financial pitfalls?
Yes, there are quite a few. One major mistake is not budgeting correctly for initial costs and ongoing expenses. Some people jump in without realizing the costs of purchasing machines, stocking them, and maintenance.
Like, they might think it's just buying the machine and filling it up, but there's so much more.
Exactly. And don't forget about things like permits or insurance, which can add up. I once had a client who didn't budget for maintenance costs and ended up with a broken machine that cost them a lot to repair.
Ouch! So having a detailed financial plan is key. what about those who might try to go too big, too fast?
That's another frequent error. Some people see success with one machine and think they can just scale up without a solid plan. Growing too quickly can lead to mismanagement and ultimately loss of profits.
I can see how that could happen. It's like trying to run before you can walk, right?
Exactly. It's much better to start small, build your experience, and then gradually expand. Learn from each machine before adding more to your portfolio.
And I guess that ties back into the importance of learning, right?
Absolutely. You need to be adaptable and open to feedback. One of my clients learned the hard way that not all machines are created equal. They purchased a used machine that looked good but ended up costing them more in repairs than if they had bought new.
Wow, that's a valuable lesson. So what are some signs that someone might be heading toward trouble?
Great question. If you're consistently seeing low sales, or if your machines are frequently empty, that's a red flag. Also, if you're not getting any feedback or inquiries from customers, it might be time to reconsider your location or product selection.
Those are definitely things to watch out for. And I imagine if someone starts feeling overwhelmed, that's another warning sign?
Exactly. If you find yourself too stressed about managing your machines or not enjoying the process, that might indicate you've taken on too much too soon.
Yeah, it should be a business that you feel passionate about, not something that adds more stress to your life.
Right. And if you're not enjoying it, it's important to take a step back and reassess your strategy. Sometimes it's okay to take a break, gather your thoughts, and come back with a fresh perspective.
So, if someone has made some of these mistakes, what are some immediate steps they can take to recover?
First, take stock of your current situation. Analyze your sales data, location, and product offerings. Then, consider reaching out for advice, whether it's from someone experienced in the industry or even a mentor.
That sounds really practical. And making adjustments based on what you learn can help steer you back on course, right?
Exactly. You can pivot your strategy based on what you discover. And remember, it's all about learning from those experiences.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together. So let's dive into some immediate steps our listeners can take if they're interested in starting their own vending machine business, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. The first thing I'd recommend is to do some research on the different types of vending machines available. There are traditional snack machines, beverage dispensers, and even specialized ones that offer healthier options or unique products.
That makes sense. And once they figure out what type of machine they're interested in, what's the next step?
Well, they should start by assessing the market. It's important to identify potential locations where these machines could thrive. Think about places like gyms, schools, or office buildings. Places where people often look for a quick snack or drink.
Right. And if they're unsure about the best locations, they could even visit existing vending machines to see which products are popular in those areas.
Exactly. And while they're at it, they could also start talking to business owners in those locations. A simple conversation could lead to partnerships, and they might be surprised at how open some places are to having vending machines.
That's a great point. Building relationships is key. Now, once they've identified a potential location, what should they consider next?
They should think about the investment required. If they're just starting out, it might be wise to look for used vending machines. There are online marketplaces where you can find machines at a fraction of the cost. Just make sure to check reviews and ensure the seller is reputable.
And I imagine there are some essential tools or apps that could help streamline this process, right?
Definitely. There are inventory management apps specifically designed for vending machine owners. These can help track sales, monitor stock levels, and even alert them when it's time to restock. Some popular ones include VendSoft and Vending Tracker.
Those sound super helpful. And what about payment options?
Good question. Nowadays, many machines accept cashless payments, mobile wallets, credit cards, you name it. So it would be wise to invest in a machine that offers those options, or retrofitting an existing one. It can significantly increase sales as more people prefer cashless transactions these days.
That's so true. And speaking of sales, how should someone decide what products to stock?
They should start by analyzing trends in their target location. Check out what similar machines are selling well, and maybe even conduct a small survey to ask potential customers what they'd like to see.
I love that idea. It's all about understanding your audience.
Exactly, and once they've got a good mix of products, it's essential to keep an eye on the performance of each item. If something isn't selling, don't be afraid to switch it out for something new.
That sounds like a solid plan. What about budgeting? Any tips on managing finances while starting this venture?
Definitely. Having a clear budget is crucial. They should break down costs into categories, like purchase price, location fees, maintenance, and product costs. It's also smart to have a small emergency fund set aside for unexpected repairs or expenses.
And I guess keeping track of all this can get a bit overwhelming, huh?
It can, but using a simple spreadsheet or financial software can really help. There are user-friendly apps like QuickBooks or even free tools like Google Sheets that can help them stay organized.
Great tools to know about. Now, what about the actual physical setup? Should they handle that themselves or hire someone?
If they're handy and comfortable with basic installation, they could certainly set it up themselves. There are plenty of online tutorials. But if they're not, hiring a professional is definitely worth the investment to ensure everything is done correctly.
And once everything's set up, what's the best way to promote their new vending machine?
Social media can be a powerful tool. They could create an Instagram or Facebook page for their business and post about new products, promotions, or even fun facts about vending machines. Engaging with the local community can help build a loyal customer base.
That sounds fun. It's like creating a little brand around the vending machine.
Exactly. And they might also consider collaborations with local businesses. For example, they could feature local snacks or drinks, which can draw in more customers who want to support local products.
So many creative avenues to explore. Now let's talk about starting small. What if someone is hesitant to dive in too deep financially right away?
They could start with just one machine to test the waters. It's a low-risk way to gauge interest, and if it goes well, they can gradually expand their operations.
That's a smart move. It gives them a chance to learn and adapt without a massive financial commitment up front.
Exactly. And as they gain experience, they'll have a better understanding of what works and what doesn't, which will inform their future decisions.
I love how practical and approachable this all sounds. It's really about taking one step at a time, right?
Absolutely. Building a vending machine business can be a rewarding venture, especially when approached thoughtfully and strategically.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together and transition to our outro. All right, as we wrap things up, let's recap some of the key takeaways from our discussion on the vending machine business.
Yeah, first off, we talked about how it can be a low-effort setup, especially if you choose the right location. Finding a spot with good foot traffic is really crucial.
And don't forget the importance of understanding your audience. Knowing what snacks or drinks your target customers want can make a big difference in sales.
Exactly. Plus, we covered the financial aspect. The initial investment can be manageable, especially if you start small. It's all about finding that balance between cost and potential return.
And maintenance. Regular restocking and keeping the machines clean is key to keeping your customers happy and coming back for more.
Right. And, starting with just one or two machines is a great way to test the waters without overcommitting.
So whether you're looking to supplement your income or start something new, a vending machine business can be a practical option.
Absolutely. Remember, building financial security doesn't have to be overwhelming. Taking small, deliberate steps can lead to significant results over time.
And that's what it's all about, making those informed decisions that align with your goals.
If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.
And if you know someone over 40 who could benefit from this kind of practical advice, please share it with them.
Next time, we'll dive into another exciting topic, storage unit rentals and how they can provide a form of passive income through real estate.
So stay tuned for that. Until then, take those small steps towards your financial goals.
Yeah, keep moving forward, everyone.
We'll catch you next time.